The sky burned orange as the last evacuation ships departed Earth's atmosphere. Commander Dai watched through the viewport as energy weapons from the Concordat fleet tore through continents below. There was no time for tears. Only survival mattered now. Navigation systems online, reported Lieutenant Hanna. Quantum drives charging. 7 vessels escaped that day. 7 ships carrying the remnants of humanity away from their burning homeworld. Commander Dai had only one order: take us beyond their reach. The ship shook violently as a Concordat energy beam grazed their shields. Day gripped the command rail tightly. His dark eyes reflected the dying world below. Everything they had ever known was ending. 20 billion lives snuffed out because the Concordat decided humans were too dangerous to exist. They're targeting us, Hannah called out. Her fingers flew across the control panel. Shields at 60%. Day turned to his weapons officer. Officer Min, return fire. Give us cover. The human vessel's defense systems activated, launching a barrage of missiles toward the nearest Concordat ship. They weren't meant to destroy, just distract. Quantum drives at full charge, reported Engineer Bo from below deck. His voice crackled through the communication system. We can jump now. Commander Day took one last look at Earth. The blue planet was now wrapped in fire, its oceans boiling away. The 7 evacuation ships represented less than 1 million humans, all that would survive of their species. All ships prepare for quantum jump, Dad ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos. Coordinates are set to the outer reach. May fortune follow us into the unknown. The stars stretched into lines as the quantum drives activated. Earth disappeared from view, and with it, the past of humanity. The first years were the hardest. The 7 ships, now called the Exodus Fleet, drifted between star systems, never staying in one place too long. Food supplies dwindled. Water recyclers failed. Disease spread through the cramped quarters. Day aged quickly in those early years. His black hair turned gray, and deep lines formed around his eyes. But he never lost hope. Each morning cycle, he gathered his officers in the command center. We are not refugees, he would tell them. We are the seeds of a new human civilization, and one day we will return. By the 5th year, they discovered an asteroid belt in an unnamed system far from Concordat space. Engineer Bo designed mining equipment from spare parts. The asteroids contained water ice and valuable minerals. We can build here, Bo told the ship leaders during an emergency meeting. He displayed holographic plans of mining stations and habitats, hidden among the rocks. The radiation will mask our energy signatures. Lieutenant Hanna, now captain after Dai promoted her, nodded in agreement. The Concordat believes we're extinct. Let's keep it that way, for now. Thus began the first colony, a collection of modules attached to hollowed-out asteroids. They named it Haven. It wasn't pretty, but it was safe. More colonies followed. As decades passed, humans adapted to their new existence. Children born in space never knew Earth except through stories and preserved images. Their bodies changed with each generation. Bones grew stronger to compensate for artificial gravity, reflexes quickened, and minds developed new capabilities. 100 years after the Exodus, the first breakthrough came. Dr. Gill, a scientist born on Haven, developed a treatment that extended human lifespan. The Concordat destroyed us because they feared our potential. Jill explained to the Council of Colony Leaders. Let's prove them right. The treatment spread through all colonies. Humans began to live for centuries rather than decades. This gave them time. Time to learn. Time to plan. Time to remember. Elder Sun was born 300 years after the Exodus. She never saw Earth, but she felt its loss like a physical pain. As a child, she showed remarkable memory abilities. She could recall every detail of any information presented to her. The Council recognized her gift and assigned her to the Remembrancers. The Remembrancers were the keepers of Earth's legacy. They'd preserved every book, film, song, and image saved from the destruction. They memorized Earth's history so nothing would be forgotten. Not the beauty of the planet, not its cultures, and especially not its end. Sun rose through the ranks quickly. By her 100th birthday, she became chief remembrancer. Under her guidance, the memories of Earth became more than history. They became a sacred mission. On the colony world of Nova Haven, built beneath the surface of a moon orbiting a gas giant, Sun established the Great Memory Hall. There, humans from all colonies could come to see realistic projections of Earth's wonders, from the Grand Canyon to Mount Everest, from the streets of Tokyo to the savannas of Africa. We must never forget, Sun told visitors, not just what was lost, but why it was taken. Children were brought to the memory hall as part of their education. They would sit in circles while Sun or other remembrancers shared stories of Earth. The final lesson always included recordings of the destruction, the actual footage captured by the Exodus fleet as they fled. On one such day, 500 years after Earth's fall, a young boy named June asked the question many thought but few voiced. Why don't we fight back now? Elder Sun looked at the child with kind eyes. Because we are not ready. The Concordat is vast and powerful. We are few and hidden. But they killed everyone. June protested. They should be punished. Sun nodded slowly. They will be. But vengeance taken in weakness becomes suicide. We wait, we grow stronger, we prepare. When we return, it will not be to die in a blaze of glory. It will be to win. As centuries passed, humanity changed in ways the Concordat could never have imagined. They developed technologies beyond anything they had on Earth. Their minds evolved, allowing them to process information at remarkable speeds. Their bodies adapted to various environments. And through it all, they remembered. Generation after generation, they carried the memory of Earth's destruction like a burning ember in their hearts. They built their colonies, their ships, their weapons, all with one purpose. 1,000 years after the Exodus, humans controlled dozens of hidden systems. Their population had grown to billions again. Their ships could cross the galaxy in days rather than years. And still they waited, gathering strength, developing new technologies, evolving further from their original form. The fire of vengeance never dimmed. We wait, Elder Sun told the children gathered at her feet, until we are strong enough to claim justice for Earth. Fleet Admiral Jin stood aboard the command deck of the HFY Reclamation, flagship of humanity's armada, 3,000 years after Earth's fall. What had begun as refugee ships had evolved into a formidable interstellar civilization. Show me the data again, Jin ordered. Tactical Officer Yuna projected a holographic map of the galaxy. Our deep reconnaissance probes confirm the Concordat still controls the central systems, including Sol. Their technology has advanced, but not at our rate. The United Human Systems had developed in isolation, driven by the singular purpose of eventual return. Their quantum technology, biological enhancements, and AI integrations had surpassed anything they'd observed in Concordat space. The Council has voted, announced Governor Tai, as he entered the bridge. Operation Homecoming begins now. Jin nodded solemnly. Send the signal to all fleets. After 3 millennia of preparation, humanity returns to the stars. The bridge of the reclamation fell silent. Everyone understood the weight of this moment. For 3,000 years, humans had hidden, built, planned, and waited. Now, the waiting was over. Jin walked to the front viewport. The massive window showed thousands of warships gathered in formation. Each ship was sleek and deadly, built with technology the Concordat could not imagine. The fleet stretched farther than the eye could see. I never thought I would live to see this day, Jin said quietly. Though only 50 years old, Jin carried the memories of 100 generations. All humans now shared the memories of their ancestors through neural implants. It was one of many ways they had changed. Jin could close his eyes and remember Earth as if he had walked its surface himself. He could feel the sand between his toes, the rain on his face, the wind in the trees. Admiral, Yuna said, breaking the silence. The fleet commanders are requesting final confirmation. Jin turned back to face his crew. Every person on the bridge watched him. They were all enhanced humans. Some had skin that could withstand the vacuum of space. Others had eyes that could see across the electromagnetic spectrum. All had minds that could process information far faster than their ancestors. "How many ships do we have?" Jin asked. 10,000 heavy warships, 20,000 support vessels, and 5,000 colony ships, Yuna replied. Over 15 million military personnel and 30 million civilians ready to reclaim our solar system. Jin nodded. "And the Concordat?" "Their central fleet has roughly 7,000 ships," Yuna said. "Their technology is approximately 200 years behind ours. They have no defense against our phase weapons or quantum shields." Governor Ta stepped forward. He was older than Jin, nearly 80, with lines around his eyes and gray in his hair. Tai was one of the few who chose to age naturally, a reminder of their original human form. "Admiral Jin," Ta said formally, "the United Human Systems Council has unanimously approved Operation Homecoming. This is not just a military action. It is the fulfillment of a promise made by our ancestors. We return not just to conquer, but to reclaim what is rightfully ours." Jin bowed his head in respect. "I understand, Governor. We have prepared for this moment for 3,000 years. We will not fail." On the lower decks of the Reclamation, millions of crew members prepared for departure. Engineer Mun checked the quantum drives one final time. The massive engines could bend space itself, allowing the fleet to travel between stars in minutes rather than years. "All systems are green," Mun reported to the bridge. "Quantum field is stable at 99.8%. We can jump whenever you give the order." Medical Officer Du reviewed her staff's readiness. Human bodies had changed, but they could still be wounded or killed. Her medical bay was equipped with regeneration chambers and nanite healing systems that could repair almost any injury. "Medical teams are ready, Admiral," she reported. "All healing pods are operational." In the Weapons Control Center, Master Gunner Rand prepared the phase cannons. These weapons fired energy that existed slightly out of normal spacetime. They could pass through conventional shields as if they weren't there. "Weapons hot and ready," Rand confirmed. Targeting systems locked on all known Concordat defensive positions. Back on the bridge, Jin opened a channel to the entire fleet. His face appeared on screens throughout 10,000 ships. Millions of humans paused to listen. "Men and women of the United Human Systems," Jin began. "Today we fulfill our oldest promise. For 3,000 years, we have remembered Earth. We have remembered its beauty, its life, and its violent end. The Concordat believed they had destroyed humanity. They were wrong." Jin paused, letting his words sink in. "We are not the humans they destroyed. We are stronger. We are smarter. We are unified. And today we return to the stars not as refugees, but as conquerors." Throughout the fleet, humans cheered. Some wept. Others stood in silent reverence. "The Concordat committed genocide against our species," Jin continued. "They did not know that humans do not die easily. They did not know that human memory is long. They did not know that human vengeance is patient." Jin's voice hardened. "Today, they will learn." On the Reclamation's bridge, Governor Ta handed Jin a small crystal cube. It contained soil from every human colony, mixed with the last samples of Earth's soil preserved from the evacuation. "When we reclaim Sol," Ta said, "this will be the first thing we place on Earth's remains." Jin accepted the cube with a bow. "It will be done." Officer Yuna approached with a final report. "Admiral, all ships report ready. Jump coordinates are set for the edge of Concordat space. We can arrive undetected if we exit quantum at these coordinates." She highlighted a point on the holographic map. Jin studied the map. The Concordat had expanded in 3 millennia, but so had human knowledge. They knew every Concordat patrol route, every sensor blind spot, every defensive weakness. "Communications Officer Park, send the jump order to all ships," Jin commanded. Primary target is Sol system. Secondary targets are Concordat military hubs. No mercy for military targets, but civilian populations are to be offered surrender. Park nodded and transmitted the orders. Jin returned to the viewport one last time. The gathered fleet represented the future of humanity. Whatever happened next would determine their fate for millennia to come. Quantum drives engage, reported Engineer Mun. Jump in 10 seconds. The stars outside began to warp as space folded around the massive fleet. For Earth, Jin whispered. For all we lost. The fleet vanished in a flash of blue light, leaving empty space where once the greatest armada in human history had gathered. Operation Homecoming had begun. After 3,000 years of waiting, humanity was returning to the stars, and the Concordat had no idea what was coming. Captain Sue walked through the crowded market of Proxima Station, careful to keep her head down. Her skin now had the blue tint of the Tellurian people, and her eyes glowed with an inner light that was not human. The genetic modifications had been painful, but they worked perfectly. No one on this Concordat trading hub suspected she was human. She stopped at a food stall and bought a bowl of glowing purple fruit. The vendor, a six-limbed Concordat citizen, made small talk as he served her. Heading to the celebration next cycle? He asked. Sue kept her voice calm, though her heart quickened. What celebration? The 3,000th anniversary of the human extinction, of course. Big events planned in the Sol system. Everyone who's anyone will be there. Sue forced a smile. I hope to attend. I hear the Garden of Victory is beautiful this time of year. The vendor nodded eagerly. Most beautiful place in Concordat space. Hard to believe it was once the home of those dangerous humans. Sue finished her fruit and continued through the market. Inside, rage burned hot, but her face remained calm. She had lived among the Concordat for months now, gathering information on their defenses, their politics, and their weaknesses. That night, in her small rented room, Sue activated her quantum communicator. The tiny device could send messages across vast distances without detection. She waited until the connection was secure before speaking. Commander Han, this is Captain Sue. I have confirmation. They've built a monument on Earth's remains, a resort world in Sol system. They call it the Garden of Victory. They celebrate the anniversary of our supposed extinction. There was a long pause before Han's voice responded, harder than before. That confirms our worst fears. Continue surveillance. There's more, Sue said. They're gathering their leadership in the Sol system for the celebration. High command, political leaders, even their religious heads will all be there. It's the perfect target. Understood. Stay in position. We move soon. Sue ended the transmission and looked out her small window at the busy station. Thousands of Concordat citizens and their allies moved about, none knowing that humanity still existed, none knowing that vengeance was coming. Far away on the frontier world of Epsilon, Lieutenant Kang crouched in a dense jungle. Unlike Sue, he hadn't modified his appearance. His mission was to explore the outer edges of Concordat space, not to infiltrate their core worlds. The rain poured down as Kang watched a village of the Verdari, a species with 4 arms and skin that changed color with their emotions. The Concordat had conquered them centuries ago. Now they served as laborers and soldiers. Kang hadn't planned to make contact. His orders were to observe only. But when a Concordat patrol ship crashed in the jungle nearby, and the Verdari hid the injured crew rather than helping them, he became curious. That night, Kang approached the village. The risk was great, but something told him these people were not loyal to the Concordat. The Verdari spotted him immediately. Their skin flashed with colors of alarm, bright reds and yellows. Several raised weapons. Kang stopped and raised his empty hands. I mean no harm, he said in the trade language of this sector. An elder Verdari stepped forward, skin shifting to a deep purple of confusion. What are you? You look like... The elder stopped, eyes widening. Impossible. The humans are extinct. Not extinct, Kang said quietly. hidden, waiting. The village erupted in whispers. The elder gestured for Kang to follow him into a large hut. Inside, other Verdari elders waited. Their skin now showed blue patterns of caution mixed with hope. Our ancestors spoke of humans, the first elder told Kang. They witnessed Earth's destruction. The Concordat feared your kind's potential. They believed humans would eventually surpass them all. Kang leaned forward. What do you mean? Why did they fear us? Another elder, her skin now a deep green of sadness, spoke. The Concordat religious texts speak of a species that would transcend physical form, becoming like gods. When they found Earth and studied humans, they saw your rapid advancement, your adaptability. They believed you were this prophesied species. So they destroyed us because of a prophecy? Kang asked, anger rising in his voice. Yes, the first elder confirmed. And they have oppressed many species since, fearing any who show similar potential. Like us. Kang studied the Verdari carefully. Would your people join us against the Concordat, if given the chance? The elder's skin shifted to the gold of resolve. We have waited for such an opportunity for generations. The Verdari will fight alongside humans. Kang activated his communicator. Commander Han, this is Lieutenant Kang. I've made contact with potential allies, and I've learned why the Concordat destroyed Earth. Over the next weeks, similar reports came in from across Concordat space. Many subjugated species were willing to rise against their oppressors. The humans had found allies in their quest for vengeance. At the edge of Concordat space, the human fleet assembled. 10,000 warships, each a marvel of technology developed over 3 millennia of focused advancement. On the bridge of the flagship Reclamation, Admiral Jin received the final reports from spies and scouts. Captain Su confirms the Concordat leadership will gather at Earth in 2 weeks, Commander Han reported. Lieutenant Kang has secured alliances with 7 subjugated species, including the Verdari. They will rise up when we attack. Jin studied the holographic map showing the gathered fleet. Each ship represented thousands of lives, all descended from the few who escaped Earth's destruction. And the true reason for Earth's destruction? Jin asked. A prophecy, Han answered. The Concordat religious texts spoke of a species that would transcend physical form. They believed it was us. Jin stood silent for a moment. The irony was not lost on him. In their fear of what humans might become, the Concordat had forced them to evolve faster, to advance beyond what they might have on Earth. The very act of destroying humanity had set in motion exactly what they feared. Gather the fleet commanders, Jin ordered. It's time they knew the full truth. Hours later, the commanders of all 10,000 ships joined a secure quantum conference. Some appeared in person on the Reclamation, others as holograms. For 3,000 years, Jin began, we have prepared for this moment. We have built our ships, advanced our technology, and evolved our bodies. We believe the Concordat destroyed Earth out of fear or hatred. Now we know the truth. They destroyed Earth based on a prophecy, a belief that humans would one day transcend physical form. The commanders murmured among themselves, processing this information. In trying to prevent this prophecy, Jin continued, they ensured it would happen. We have evolved far beyond what our ancestors were on Earth. Our minds connect to machines. Our bodies can survive in space. Our lifespans stretch for centuries. In trying to exterminate us, they created exactly what they feared. Jin's eyes moved from face to face, seeing determination in each one. The attack begins in 2 days. Our target is Sol System, where the Concordat leadership will gather to celebrate the anniversary of our supposed extinction. They believe humans are gone forever. Let's fulfill their prophecy and show them how wrong they were. The commanders saluted as one. For Earth, they said in unison. For Earth, Jin replied. And for the future. The battle began at Neptune's orbit. Concordat border stations detected the human fleet too late, their signals silenced within moments. They don't recognize our ships, Tactical Officer Yun reported. They're broadcasting general alerts identifying us as an unknown species. Admiral Jin allowed himself a grim smile. After 3,000 years, they'd forgotten what we look like. The human fleet emerged from quantum space in perfect formation. 1,000 ships appeared near Neptune, another 1,000 near Uranus. The rest waited at strategic points throughout the solar system. The plan had been rehearsed countless times. Every captain knew their role. The Concordat border stations orbiting Neptune were the first to fall. They detected the human ships and sent confused warnings to their command. Before they could raise proper alarms, phase shift torpedoes passed through their shields as if they weren't there. The stations exploded in silent bursts of light. On the bridge of the Reclamation, Admiral Jin watched the tactical display. Green dots represented human ships. Red dots showed Concordat vessels and stations. Already, red dots were disappearing across the outer solar system. First wave of Concordat defense ships approaching from Jupiter, Yun reported. Her fingers moved across her control panel, tracking enemy movements. 200 vessels, heavy cruisers and battleships. Jin nodded. Let them come. Battle Group 3, move to intercept. 200 human ships broke formation and accelerated toward the incoming Concordat fleet. The Concordat ships fired first, energy weapons lighting up space. Human quantum shields absorbed the attacks without damage. They're using standard Concordat attack patterns, Commander Han observed. Just as our intelligence predicted. Jin nodded. Return fire. Show them what 3,000 years of planning looks like. The human ships fired. Phase shift weapons bypassed Concordat shields completely. Quantum missiles tracked targets with perfect accuracy. The first Concordat vessels exploded or drifted dead in space, their systems overloaded. They're sending distress calls, Communications Officer Park reported. They don't understand what's happening. They're describing us as unknown vessels with advanced technology. Play the message on speakers, Jin ordered. A panicked Concordat voice filled the bridge. Unknown fleet with advanced weapons attacking outer system defenses. All available forces respond. We cannot hold them. Jin's face remained calm, but his eyes burned with satisfaction. Send the signal to all human ships. It's time to identify ourselves. Throughout the solar system, every human vessel sent the same message on all Concordat frequencies. We are humanity, returning to reclaim what is ours. 3,000 years ago, you destroyed our homeworld. Today, we bring justice. The message repeated in every Concordat language. Along with it, human ships broadcast images of Earth's destruction, preserved from the evacuation fleet's recordings. Panic spread through Concordat forces. Their communications became chaotic. Some ships tried to flee. Others charged forward in desperate attacks. None of it mattered. The human fleet had planned for every response. As the outer system defenses fell, Admiral Jin ordered the fleet to advance toward Mars. The Red Planet had become the Concordat's military headquarters in the Sol system. Captain Shull, prepare your ground forces, Jin ordered. Mars base is your target. Captain Shull stood before 5,000 elite soldiers in the launch bay of the assault carrier Vengeance. Each soldier wore advanced battle armor that enhanced their already formidable bodies. Their weapons could switch between conventional and phase shift modes. Today we set foot on soil in our home system for the first time in 3,000 years. Shull told his troops, we have a different biology now. Enhanced strength, accelerated healing. We are not the humans they destroyed. We are their worst nightmare come to life. The soldiers roared in response. Their voices echoed in the massive launch bay. Our target is Mars base, Shull continued. We take it intact if possible. The Concordat's military records are there. We need that information. Any questions? A young soldier raised her hand. Captain, what about Concordat civilians on Mars? Shull nodded, appreciating the question. Non-combatants are to be contained but not harmed. We are not the Concordat. We do not destroy innocent lives. Remember that. The assault ships launched. streaking toward the red planet. Concordat defenses fired desperately, but human ships provided cover. The assault craft landed at multiple points around Mars base, a massive complex that covered much of what had once been called Valles Marineris. Chull's team breached the main entrance. Concordat defenders fired energy weapons that would have killed their ancestors instantly, but these humans had evolved. Their skin deflected energy weapons. Their enhanced muscles allowed them to move with incredible speed. Forward, Chull ordered, firing his rifle at a group of Concordat soldiers. Secure the command center. The fighting was intense but brief. The Concordat forces fought bravely, but were overwhelmed by superior human biology and technology. Within 2 hours, Mars base fell. Captain Chull stood in the Concordat command center, surrounded by his soldiers and captured Concordat officers. Send word to Admiral Jin, Chull ordered. Mars is ours. Back in space, the main Concordat fleet had gathered near Earth, or what remained of it. The once blue planet had been transformed. Its continents were reshaped. Its oceans were controlled and contained in artistic patterns. Massive structures rose from the surface. It was beautiful in an artificial way, like a garden designed by gods with no understanding of nature. The Reclamation and 50 other human battleships approached Earth. The remaining Concordat fleet formed a defensive line. They gathered their remaining ships to defend Earth. Yun reported. 3,000 vessels. Their best ships and crews. Jin stood at the viewport, staring at the transformed planet. Pain and rage mixed in his eyes. They built their paradise on our graveyard, he whispered. Governor Todd joined him at the viewport. The reports from Captain Chull confirm it. They call it the Garden of Victory. It's where their elites vacation to celebrate humanity's extinction. Jin's hands tightened into fists. How many Concordat civilians are on the surface? Millions, Tai replied, plus their political leadership. They gathered for the anniversary celebration. Jin closed his eyes. In his mind, he could see Earth as it once was. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown continents. His ancestors' memories flowed through him. He could feel rain on his face, hear birds singing, smell grass after a storm. Then he saw it burning, continents cracking, oceans boiling away. When he opened his eyes, they were clear and determined. Open a channel to the Concordat fleet. Communications Officer Park nodded. Channel open. Admiral. Jin faced the communication screen. This is Admiral Jin of the United Human Systems. Your outer defenses have fallen. Mars is under our control. You have lost this battle. He paused, letting his words sink in. But I offer you a choice. Surrender now. Evacuate all civilians from Earth and face justice for your crimes against humanity, or continue fighting and be destroyed completely. You have 1 hour to decide. The bridge fell silent as Jin ended the transmission. Commander Han approached. Do you think they'll surrender, Admiral? Jin looked once more at the transformed Earth. No, they destroyed our world rather than accept our potential. Pride like that doesn't surrender. Then why offer terms? Han asked. Because we need to remember who we are, Jin replied. We are not them. We do not destroy without giving a chance for the innocent to survive. The hour passed slowly. On the bridge of the Reclamation, Jin and his officers waited for the Concordat response. It came not as words, but as action. The Concordat fleet advanced. Weapons charge. They've made their choice, Jin said quietly. All ships, prepare for final engagement. Target military vessels only. Avoid damage to Earth's surface if possible. As the human and Concordat fleets closed, Jin took one last look at the transformed Earth. We're home, he whispered, and we will have justice. The final battle took place above the remade Earth. The Concordat Supreme Council had retreated there, surrounded by their remaining fleets. From the bridge of the Reclamation, Admiral Jin watched as the human ships took position around the planet that was once their home. The Concordat fleet fought desperately. Energy beams cut through space. Explosions bloomed like silent flowers. Human ships moved with perfect coordination, their advanced weapons tearing through enemy defenses. "Admiral, Commander," he called out, "we have targeting solutions for their leadership bunkers on the surface. We could destroy them all. One command, and we erase them as they erased our ancestors." The bridge fell silent. Everyone waited for Jin's decision. The fate of those who had destroyed Earth now rested in human hands. Admiral Jin walked the length of the command deck, considering. His steps were slow and measured. When he reached the viewport, he stared down at the transformed Earth, so different from the blue planet of their ancestral memories. "That was their way," he said finally. "We must decide if it will be ours." Science Officer Sung entered the bridge, her face flushed with excitement. "Admiral, we've broken into the Concordat Central Database on Mars. I found something you need to see." She projected a hologram showing ancient Concordat religious texts. "These are their sacred prophecies. Look at this passage about the ascension." The text described how one species would eventually transcend physical form and become beings of pure energy, a transformation the Concordat religious texts claimed was reserved for them alone. Their religious leaders examined early humans and saw our potential, Sung explained. They believed we would achieve this ascension before them. Earth was destroyed because of this prophecy. Jin studied the texts carefully. They killed 20 billion people because of a religious fear. "Yes," Sung confirmed, "and they've suppressed any species that showed similar potential. The Verderi, the Tellurians, all kept from advancing too far." Jin closed his eyes. In his enhanced mind, he accessed the memories of Earth's final day, the fear, the pain, the loss. He could feel the weight of 3,000 years of planning for revenge. "Open a channel to all human ships," Jin ordered. Communications Officer Park nodded. "Channel open, Admiral." Jin stood straight, his decision made. "This is Admiral Jin to all United Human Systems vessels. We have learned the truth behind Earth's destruction. The Concordat feared a future where humans would transcend physical form. They destroyed our world to prevent a prophecy." He paused, letting his words reach every human in the fleet. "For 3,000 years, we have planned our revenge. We have evolved, enhanced our bodies and minds, developed technologies they cannot match. But we have also preserved something they tried to destroy, our humanity." The bridge crew watched Jin with growing understanding. "We are not what they feared," Jin continued. "We are something they never imagined, beings who could forgive even this. We will not destroy them as they destroyed us. We will show them justice, not extinction." Jin turned to Commander He. "Target their weapons only. Disable their ships. Prepare boarding parties." He nodded, relief visible on his face. "Yes, Admiral." The battle shifted. Human weapons targeted Concordat engines and weapons systems, avoiding crew quarters. Boarding parties captured ship after ship. On the surface, special forces surrounded the Concordat leadership bunkers. 6 hours later, the supreme leader of the Concordat stood before Admiral Jin on the Reclamation's bridge. The alien leader's multiple eyes blinked rapidly in fear. "Why do you not destroy us?" The supreme leader asked. "We would have destroyed you. That is the difference between us," Jin replied simply. "Surrender your forces, all of them, throughout your empire." The supreme leader hesitated, then pressed his hand to a communication device. "This is Supreme Leader Vor. All Concordat forces are ordered to stand down. I repeat, stand down." Throughout the galaxy, the war ended in a single day. The Concordats surrendered unconditionally. Their leaders were detained to face justice before a tribunal that included representatives from all species they had harmed. Governor Todd joined Admiral Jin as they took the first shuttle to Earth's surface. Through the window, they could see the artificial landscapes created by the Concordat. "What will we do with it?" Tai asked. "Earth is not as we left it." Jin held the small crystal cube containing soil from all human colonies, mixed with the last preserved soil from original Earth. We will make it a memorial, not just to what was lost, but to what was learned. The shuttle landed in what had once been Africa. Jin stepped out, the first human to touch Earth's soil in 3,000 years. He knelt and buried the crystal cube in the ground. "From Earth we came," he said softly, "and to Earth we return." Over the next year, human terraforming ships restored Earth's continents to their original shapes. The oceans were returned to their natural patterns. Plants and animals, preserved in genetic banks since the Exodus, were reintroduced. As humanity revealed itself to the wider galaxy, many subjugated species found hope in their return. The Verdari, the Tellurians, and dozens of others joined a new galactic council where all species had equal voice. The fear that had driven the Concordat, that humans would become godlike beings, proved partially true, though not as expected. Humanity's evolution had given them not just physical and technological advantages, but a wisdom that came from preserving their history and learning from it. 1 year after the battle, a memorial was unveiled at the site where the first human city had once stood. Representatives from 100 species gathered to witness the ceremony. Admiral Jin, now an elder statesman of the new galactic order, stood before the assembled beings. His enhanced body showed no age, but his eyes carried the weight of humanity's journey. "We did not come back for vengeance," Jin declared as the memorial was unveiled. "We came back to ensure no species ever again suffers what we suffered. The cycle of destruction ends with us." The memorial showed Earth as it once was, blue, green, and alive with countless species. Beneath it was written, "Never forget, never repeat." And beneath the surface of the restored Earth, in chambers unknown to the galaxy, the remembrancers began their final task. Elder Moon, successor to Elder Sun, led a new generation in preserving not just humanity's past, but ensuring its future among the stars. "We remember so others need not suffer," she told her students. "That is humanity's greatest achievement, not our technology, not our evolved bodies, but our capacity to remember pain and choose a different path." On the last night of the dedication ceremony, Admiral Jin stood alone on a beach, watching waves that moved as Earth's oceans had moved for billions of years before humans existed. The stars above were no longer places of exile but paths to a shared future. "We're home," he whispered to the wind, "and we're better than we were before." The end.